Yeah, I think physicality, that's one of the first things I like to work on. David sort of has this bearing the weight of the world on him, and sort of this crushing feeling. Also, like, I just had this of like working over on a table, like we were soldering and typing, and you just have this like hunched over, actually did start cramping up and being sort of painful after a while, but like, you know, just sort of the opposite of what Bill's going through, where he's got to like stand strong, is that David's just internal and he's just crushing in on himself, sort of thing. So I worked with posture a lot, and at work I would just take the script out and I would just journal as I would read along. So I have like 10 or 15 pages of just like journal entries, and then I also work like at a country club, so it's like this sort of nicer aesthetic, and I'd work like these night shifts, and we have like, there'd be like cocktail parties going on the event deck, and I played with like what it's like to be the loneliest person at your own party. And so we have like a helipad that no one was on, but you can see like where everyone's partying, and just standing and just observing that from afar, imagining myself with like a drink in my hand and just being like really alone, even though like these people are here for me. And, you know, maybe Bill's over there and he's like getting people riled up and engaged, and he's in David just like really alone.
As far as my process for establishing what worked for the character, it was just kind of like reading the breakdown, what's there, and, you know, just kind of feeling it out. You know, you read he's a business guy, so I think I probably was sitting like this and I read that and I was just like, okay, he's probably a little more postured up, and you just kind of feeling out how it works. And I think I might have even tried to mess with like my like how I talked a little bit, like talked in kind of like a lower tone for some things, and just to kind of feel it out. Like, what would that guy sound like? What's his energy like? And it was just a matter of running it on my own a bunch, listening to it, rehearsing it, because him and I, we FaceTime a few times and just ran lines and scenes, and just, that was the time where I was like, oh, let me try talking like this and see how this works. I don't know if I like this. And then sometimes when we run lines, we would sit, and other times we would stand and actually like try to create the posture. And so, yeah, for me, it's just trial and error, just feeling what works, and also getting dressed up in the appropriate attire while rehearsing too, rather than getting on set, putting on a suit for the first time, be like, oh, these shoes make me do weird things, or these lack of shoes and socks make me stand differently, you know? So yeah, just trial and error for me.
Yeah, I think that in terms of humanizing Claire, in my mind, in terms of creating the character, it helped to, and it doesn't justify, and that's the thing, right, is that nothing that we do necessarily is justified. Like, there's always going to be somebody that's going to look at it and say, like, well, you were definitely wrong, and like, you were evil. But you can't play a character and think that they're evil. That's the thing. If you're going to play the character, you need to find their humanity. And so for me, sort of the backstory I created for myself is like, well, we've been together for a really long time. He works a lot. He's been neglectful in multiple ways. I sort of played it as like, you know, my daughter was my world. And that is where my humanity lies. That's why it's so complicated then to have a relationship again with David once she's gone. Because it's like, you know, I told you to stop. I told you, you know, not to keep driving, and you did. And now she's not here anymore. And she was like my entire reason for being. And now I need to figure out how to deal with my grief on my own. In essence, it was just kind of looking to see what were those moments of humanity that she had.